All right, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back. It's your boy Tech, and today's video is about layoffs, more specifically, layoffs in tech. So, a little bit about my journey. Last year, I went through not one, but two separate layoffs. One in August last year, 2024, and then one in December 2024. So at the time, I was working my first layoff. At the time, I was working a job at CVS as a IAM analyst. I ended up got a job offer for another company. I was about to start, but unfortunately at that time, CrowdStrike was going on, that big IT global outage. So I ended up, putting in my notice, a week notice, pretty much. And yeah, the week I was supposed to start, everything fell through. So now, when I was working at CVS, I was hired through a staffing company. So, if you know pretty much. The staffing companies really, once you leave, there's no going back. The company's already as is, don't want to hire any employees. That's what they hired you as a contractor through a staffing company. So there was no go back to my previous role. So I had to just kind of figure it out. And so luckily I was only unemployed for about a month before I got my next role as pretty much a I am automation engineer. And within that role, it's a nice cool role. Once again, hired through another staffing company. And everything was good. Was start that job like end of August all the way through December. December 23rd was my last day at that company. But early in a week before my actual day of layoff, I got pulled into a Teams meeting with my manager. He was like, "Hey, unfortunately, the contract, it was supposed to be a 6 month contract and it wasn't supposed to end until March of 2025. Like, hey, we don't have enough budget, so things are getting cut short." Mm, yeah, boy, it was hurt. I'm not even gonna lie. I just got back on my feet. Life was looking a little bit better. And then, boom, the ball dropped again. So then now I'm like back on the market. And then that time around, things took even longer. It took me a month to secure about, I got laid off on December 23rd. I didn't get another role to the end of January. So say it took about, it really felt like a month and a half. And then even still, once I started that job, I didn't really get to start that job into like the second to last week of February that year, this year, 2025. So pretty much, I really was laid off for about 2 months and some change. That hurt even longer. Not like I'm working at a company, W-2, severance pay, and get the full package to kind of just sit on. If anything, I'm just starting out my career and just kind of at the time just trying to make waves. 'Cause at the time I was what, 22 when all this was going on. So currently I'm 23, so I'm still relatively young. Then just even before the layoffs and stuff like that, just a whole different type of financial situation I was going through. So I just made it out of that. Other than that, I was doing good until these layoffs came and just out the blue. Um, so yeah, those were very critical situations, very hard times for me. And so since then, I've been good now. At the time, the role I took up to get me out of my layoff, that was more of a consulting role. So I was an IM consultant. Then now my current role, I'm IM engineer. So that goes to say how to survive these layoffs. So the key to survive these layoffs, um, make sure first thing, rule number one is in this economy slash market, I learned my lesson early on. Never put in a notice. That's one. Never put in a notice, especially if you're through a staffing company, you're not W-2. Then even if you're W-2, don't give any notice that you're going to leave. Make sure that you're already locked into your role. Make sure you're actually starting. I recommend putting in PTO so that way it actually overlaps with your new role. So that way you at least make sure you started, you do the whole onboarding process. That way you're actually locked into a role before you actually, commit to the role. So that's something I had to learn very early on. I realized what's the whole point of a notice because a company doesn't give a notice when they fire you. That's the sad truth, but it's the truth. So don't do any notices. Some people say, well, you should do notices. You may never know when you may need to go back. It's not about being on good terms with the company. Well, yeah, you want to be on good terms with the company, but more so being good terms with your manager. Really, that's what's going to get you back into the door. Especially if you did everything right on your way out. So, um, but really, don't put a notice in unless you're locked in with your new company, because if you put that notice in, your company's most likely not gonna just take you back. Most companies nowadays won't take you back because they're trying to cut people because we're just an expense on Excel spreadsheet. That's the reality of it. It's not a sad reality, it's just reality. I really don't, even though I earlier mentioned sad reality, the name of the game is this is corporate America. It's not necessarily a game, but it's business, so it's not personal. All right. So that's number one. Number two, with my other role, my key vital point was learning was keep your options open. I should have still my head should have still been on a swivel, even though I locked into another role. Like I said, that contract isn't guaranteed. That's one thing I learned. Contracts are not guaranteed. Whether you're on a Beacon Hill, Apex Systems, Randstad, or whatever you're with, it's not guaranteed. When you're a W-2 through a staffing company working a contract, the employer can cut the contract at any time. They cut it short anytime. This is not guaranteed. It just lets you know, hey, that we intend on keeping you for this long, but if something comes up, they can cut it shorter if they want to. So it's not guaranteed. So my head should have been on the swivel. I should have had some options. I should have been interviewing. I got comfortable because I was just happy to have something, just over my head, just to keep some money coming through. But that got cut short. So I'll say keep your head on the swivel. That's number two. Number three, I would say build up connections. Make sure you have a strong network just your whole entire career. Just that's something off rip. That will make worlds of difference. So when you actually do need to make leaps and bounds, that we always, like during my second layoff, that's what really hurt the most was when I did actually go through the layoff. Like I said, the amount of time that I was out, just that 2 months and some change, that hurt. Like that really hurt mentally and financially, emotionally, physically, whatever just get hurt. It's like, dang, 'cause I'm having to start from square one of, you know, interview, getting turned down, turned down, turned down. I'm not qualified for this, not qualified for that. Okay, I'm qualified, but it's this one little thing where it's always something, right? So I'm starting from square one. Versus if I already had a strong connection with a company or a person, it would have been nothing for me just to be able to just hit up a contact, be like, hey, woot, 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 this is what's going on. Hey, I need a role opportunity. I wouldn't have anything at the time, but if something comes up, I'll get to you. Okay, well, actually, we do got some of the time. Here, let's get your foot in the door. So that would have been something that would have been so nice to actually have a strong connection or a stronger network. Not to say my network wasn't strong, but it wasn't as strong as I needed it to be. I would say definitely now I have a stronger network because one, it does help part of part of having a strong network, in my opinion, is also being qualified talent. So one of my favorite sayings is skills pay the bills. Like I said, I've been saying that for quite a while. Like I said, I don't know if somebody else said that before me or whatever, but that's just something I live by. Skills pay the bills. So it's kind of hard to be qualified talent, to build, you have a strong network, but if you don't really have the skill set, yeah, they might make exceptions, but really nowadays companies aren't really making exceptions for a lot of things. So the key thing is have your skill set up and that will care for a lot of itself. To where now that I'm in my current role, I'm my engineer, like say my automation engineer role, that helped me out a whole lot to where it got my raised my skill ceiling from going from analyst to working on a lot of automation scripting in the IM space. To where now I am engineer, and the level of stuff I'm doing is phenomenal. To where if I was to recreate my resume with everything I current in my current new role, easy. Like especially all the stuff I already get hit up for now on my LinkedIn, beautiful. To where it's like it makes it easy once you have the right skill set. So I'll say lastly, make sure you have get your skill set up. I understand it's in this job market, like yes, projects or stuff is important, but really being at the right company that's really going to grow your skill set. That's really how you build a strong network of recruiters. When I say network of recruiters, that's who's going to get you these jobs. As well as cool two individuals. Individuals are very helpful, but especially like me, I'm in a niche, so really my biggest my biggest helper is recruiters, not necessarily people, because the people in my space, it's such a, I wouldn't say a dog eat dog, but it's very niche being an IAM space, but it's also something growing and popular. It's booming. We need more qualified talent. So yes, it also does to help other people in the IAM space. But at the same time um, it just overall just helps to have qualified skill set because even if I didn't, let's say I had an opportunity coming my way, and I knew a guy that worked at the company. I'd be like, hey, I see you guys got this opening. Let me interview for it. He can't recommend me, or if I had something at my company, I can't, recommend one of my buddies, my friends, because if they need a certain type of skill selling, I don't qualify. So that's what I mean by skills pay the bills. Skills will carry you all the way through. And of course, you need to have your soft skills on point, right? Just being skilled up isn't good enough nowadays. To where, like I said, it's also about being a fit in the company culture, the team culture. So I would say overall, those are my main points for surviving and thriving through a layoff. Getting back on your feet. So, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, or concerns, or you have any of your own layoff stories, or currently are in a layoff, you know, drop it down in the comments. I'll respond. I'll be responding to messages. And then I want to hear what everybody else thinks. What everybody else is going through right now, because I understand right now in this economy and this job market, it's a tough time. So, but yeah, I'm gonna be around. So definitely, I'm gonna keep on posting these videos coming through. Like I said, I want to hear you guys' stories. So I'll be around until next time. Peace.